He's a good friend of mine as well. So yeah, I think we can start.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. And Shabin, pleased to meet you. Before I start, maybe if you can give me some background on the organization you run and the current infrastructure you guys have, so that I won't duplicate my discussion on those places that you already have.
Yeah, sure. Stanley, hi. This is Shabin here. I'm the VP for Enterprise Infrastructure Services. I'm pretty much reporting to the head of the IT and CTO of the organization. So, as an enterprise infrastructure services, I'm accountable for the entire network services, the end user computing services for MediaCorp family. And I'm also responsible for the infrastructure and the cloud operations. And also I have a team for the architecture and the governance. So pretty much a team size of 35 full-time staff reporting to me, and also have additional 15 staff outsourced to deliver several other functionalities for data center IT support services. For the entire organization, I'm accountable for the backend as a service team. Now we are transforming a lot, delivering the AI space, delivering infrastructure that is required for the digital. I joined the company 4.5 years back. Previously, I was handling several other roles in the APAC regional level side. I've been working in the banking domain. I started pretty much as from Citibank. I worked in UBS Fidelity. I lived in the US for almost 7 years. Moved to Singapore in 2010. Ever since, I'm here. I'm a Singapore PR. I'm in Singapore for the last 15 years. And from the infrastructure perspective, right, we have two major data centers for MediaCorp that is delivering all the news, digital content, the CNA, all the assets for MediaCorp. Today online, 8 World, we have a few other agencies that's right on our infrastructure, and we have the cloud connected to our DCs, which is our AWS and Azure. Approximately, we spend 6 million a year for the cloud infrastructure, so you can see the content. We have a petabyte of data, primarily on our physical DCs. Of course, you might be knowing we are CII infrastructure. We are part of IMDA and CSA purview. So all the cybersecurity related deliveries, we are aligned with the CSA and IMDA portfolio. The organization is, the CTO organization is recently formed, and we have a new CTO. We don't say as a new CTO, but the person who was running the digital as a head of digital up as he's been in the system with MediaCorp for the past 10 years. So we are now aligned. The entire technology team has been aligned as a CTO. So from the business perspective, our teams are classified as the digital enterprise IT. We have broadcast engineering, and then we have ISO, and then we have consumer and insights analytics. It's termed as a CIA organization. So the three major tech team, we are close to 400, and that is the CTO team, which is the digital enterprise IT and the broadcast engineering. So that's the team structure, and I'm part of the enterprise IT team. Yeah.
So would you consider part of your organization with OT infrastructure as well, or is just plain IT?
No, actually, previously I was the person who was leading the operations for digital, which is OTT and OVP platforms, MeWatch, Medicine, and all the news as well as the corporate affairs as well. Now I moved on to a role where I'm taking the accountability for entire enterprise IT side. So
Okay.
but we still manage the infrastructure for OTT and OVP. Although we are part of the enterprise IT, we manage the cloud, infrastructure as a code practice, Terraform, you name it. Everything has been from my team because we have been moved out from digital to enterprise IT. We continue to manage for digital organization. We are now one
Right.
family. Yeah.
Okay. Good. So yeah, thank you. That's a very good background. Let me give you my background. I've been in the IT industry for longer than I want to admit. But for most of my time, I've been doing application and database. I used to run a company called Quest Software. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Quest Software. They were very famous for two very big things. One was database solutions, and the other one was Microsoft infrastructure. My background was actually from a database standpoint, and I've also over the years I do a lot of application monitoring and looking at performance of applications. But in the last, I guess, 7 or 8 years, I kind of fell into cybersecurity, but that's not my basic background. And the reason why I introduced that way is that because a few of my friends and I used to be from Quest Software. We formed this company called Mammary back in 2019. And in 2019, we were looking around and says, well, what are the problems that people are seeing in the market and need to overcome that hasn't been done right? And we spotted from a database standpoint, ransomware and data theft. So ransomware and data theft are two areas that back then and we're starting to see, and right now people are still struggling to solve those issues. We started looking at our solution from a pure database standpoint, but then when we peel the onion, there were a lot of basic stuff that even though it was database related and all that stuff, but it was still not being addressed properly in the large world. And a couple of reasons why we saw that is that cybersecurity is sold by pieces. Which means that you buy endpoint security. I'm sure everybody will have that. Then you buy email security. Then you buy two-factor. Then you buy, you end up buying like 10, 12, 16, 18 different products. Then you buy a SIM because you cannot manage all of them. So you end up buying a lot of functions and features, even though they tell you we will help you solve everything. So that was the thing that, and then we started looking at database security, because I think that was a neglected space, and since our background was database, that's why I think we can kind of say that because nobody does the basic stuff for database security. I'm sure you've heard of Zero Trust, which I'm going to introduce a little bit about it, and it fails miserably at the database level. So, how many types of databases you run? Since you run Azure, AWS, on-prem, probably 4, 5, 10.
We have everything, yes.
Yeah. So you're a prime candidate for me to have this discussion.
Yes.
Can I assume that your primary IAM strategy is around Microsoft? So are you using Active Directory, Azure?
We are totally on Entra, Azure. We are totally on that. We are Microsoft.
How's that working for AWS?
For AWS, yes, we have integrated all the accounts. So we are we also have the CyberArk solutions integrated for all the accounts as well.
Okay, so you're familiar with CyberArk, and that's where I will. That's a good information. So I will, as you know, CyberArk is very weak in database solutioning. In fact, that's why a lot of enterprises choose us to augment CyberArk. So maybe this is a good point for me to start my presentation. Let's just get me. Can you see my presentation? Is that the
Not
right
yet.
screen? No.
No, it's not.
Okay. Okay, I'm not sharing the right screen then. Just hang on a sec. Is this better?
Yeah, we can see. Closing the gaps.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. So basically, when we looked at databases, they are notorious for identity management. If you run more than one type of database or even more than one database, you understand that databases are basically local accounts. So
Yeah.
by definition, you would have failed audit.
Mhm.
But the auditors don't know this yet. Auditors follow a script, and so I think that's a good introduction to what we do. People are not protecting their databases by still perpetuating old practices. The other old practice that we see a lot of people is that they do not protect their test and development.
Yeah.
So as you know, as many CISOs will tell me, when the board or the CEO hears about their data being leaked to the dark web,
Mm.
the world that, hey, that's test data, it doesn't count, right? So, and the other more interesting story, I'm sure you know from NCS in Singapore, is that an ex-employee came in and deleted
Yeah.
all their test development, and
Yes.
basically they forgot that the digital transformation is about creating IP, and NCS still doesn't understand that that is their business. So test
Yeah.
and development is actually their product. And similarly, for most companies today going through digital transformation, your app, your mobile app, your data, these are the two largest digital transformation projects we see. So data related projects, like you mentioned, as
Yeah.
well as mobile app. Those two are poorly protected, and this is where we come in and help our friends and customers. So I'm just going to go through some of these things. We're going to go through how we see the world and from a different perspective. And then I'm going to first start off with how I've helped my customers in Singapore and in the region. And then lastly, hopefully, to give you some tips on how to better protect your organization.
Okay.
My first customer in my first bullet point here is a customer in Singapore that I'm sure you've heard of. It's called Singapore Pools. The lottery, Toto, and Big Sweep, all these guys, right? So as you know, in the last, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years, they started mobile app gambling, correct?
Yeah.
And so and typical IT people is that their own people don't know how to do user interfaces and do B2C businesses. So what they did was they outsourced to Accenture, and then I think a few years they kind of rotate among the KPMGs, and they kind of rotate about 50 developers around the different providers. And what they used to do was they ship out a laptop, a secured laptop,
Yeah.
because they thought that that was the best way to secure it. But of course, these guys, as you know, these providers can be in Philippines, Vietnam, China, India, or any other country that is the flavor of the month or the right team. And then they also rotate these people and rotate. So they ended up shipping laptops and, logistically a nightmare. So what they want to do is look for alternatives. Does your company do this kind of thing? Do you guys ship laptops and secure laptops to any external parties?
Yeah, we do that. We do that when there is a major audit happening to the external third-party providers, and in some case of events happening in Malaysia, or yeah, we had to do this.
Excellent. So you know the pain. And then actually your vendors also know the pain because they end up carrying 2 or 3 laptops. So which is always a problem. And of course they looked at alternative solutions, VDI and jump holes and all that stuff are very, very expensive compared, because once you get into a server class, if you have 50 guys using a VDI solution, that's just super expensive. So they saved about 50% of cost every year using our solution. I'll tell you how, but just keep that in mind. I'm starting with benefits. AIS, you may have heard of AIS, a telco in Thailand, if you've been in this region for a long time. They were actually our first customer, and because of my background in database, we've always been working with them for many, many years. They were getting into a digital transformation project called a data warehouse, BI, data lake, digital transformation, just like everybody else is. They needed a DBA to add user, delete user, user for all these 200, 300 people they have. And they quickly found out that, first of all, they cannot hire a DBA to do this because nobody wants to do that kind of job. If you're a DBA, you want to do real work. Administration isn't a strong point for new DBAs. So what they did was they automated all these role-based access to all their different databases using our solution. Remember I said about local accounts, so I think you can link to it, is that we do what AD does for your service.
Okay.
Single account, role-based, using your AD credentials. So no database credentials. Again, I'm jumping ahead, but I think if you're asking how did we do this, that is the starting point of thinking of how we do it. You think of what AD has done for your service.
Yeah.
We're doing it for your databases.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Okay. I have a third customer also in this region. Unfortunately, they had a bad nightmare of discovering their data on the dark web. For penance, this guy has 400 developers in this in country. They now have to do 2 external audits from 2 different external auditors every quarter, plus an internal audit. So you know the nightmare of preparing reports for auditors. If you go through it once a year, you might pull your hair out. If you do it 3 times a quarter, which is 12 times or even more, and they were trying to think, how do I even do this, right? They needed to build a SIM. They were looking at, especially when they have database access and all that stuff, because database doesn't even do the most fundamental thing, is 2-factor.
Yeah.
If you don't even do 2-factor, all your reports mean 0. It means nothing. It could be a hacker, it could be the person, it could be who. And then you know what? Developers, you run infrastructure, developers share username and password, especially the application username and password.
Yeah, and it's in plain text everywhere.
Well, you read about the Korean telco recently. The guys were in there for 6 months. They found some application credentials in clear text.
Yeah. We have that in our complaints page as well.
You know what? They didn't audit either. But hackers knew, right? So again, human error, and NCS is a clear case. They cited human error for making that close to $1 million error for that one employee who left and they didn't delete his user ID. So clearly, human error just means I have a process written down somewhere that you have to delete the access to local users, but it was never done. And when it's never done, it's a human error. Oh, we have the process. You know what? It's too late, right? Hackers or ex-employees would have damage have been done. So basically, we produce real time. We have a mini SIM controlling the user as well as the database user, all using a single ID from Active Directory in your case. So that kind of simplifies everything. And then we have zero trust and least privilege access down to the database level and privacy controls.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So in a nutshell, I've already introduced my whole company, but I will get into a little bit more detail.
Yeah.
This is when I introduce companies will ask me, hey, why haven't I heard from you from Gartner or Forrester? I am ISO certified, I'm SOC 2 compliant. And so we always tell them, look, all the big vendors, they've already bought all this stuff and they listen to Gartner and Forrester and they still get hacked.
Yeah, sure.
So basically the traditional tools, there are too many of them. And then the infrastructure and the database layer are not. A lot of people buy two-factor. They don't even take care of a lot of infrastructure. Like CyberArk, for example, is a very, very good PAM, but it's not zero trust because it assigns a ID to you. So there is a tool. It has a handshake, meaning that is it really you? Don't know. Could it be shared? Don't know. So by using a single ID, like what AD has done for your whole infrastructure, we are extending that. We use AD.
Okay.
So this is a typical scenario of what a lot of my customers are doing, right? I have a good VPN. I upgrade the VPN. You know what? Meanwhile, you're not protecting your databases. You're not right. So let's look at the three security gaps, which is the people, process, and tech. And because of our database stuff, we understand the issues in databases, and I'm going to present that over time. And basically, we have controls over database, TCP/IP, SSH, RDP for servers, as well as web application protocols to protect insider and external threats. This is very familiar for any security person. The basic top parts, there are a lot of solutions. If you're using Microsoft, they already have email protection. I'm sure you have endpoint, you have backup, you have patching your CVEs, your firewalls should be there, your penetration testing and identity management, you're using AD. And then perhaps some people are still looking at training, staffing, and all that stuff, or better cybersecurity awareness and hygiene. Basically, the more advanced stuff is a two-factor, the ZTNAs, the PAM, which you already have, CyberArk. What we have brought to the table is the database, the concept of database PAM, the concept of a DAM and a privacy workflow for data. So if you look at CyberArk, they have a workflow for your server access, but not at a data layer. And of course, because ours is a security by design solution, we also have threat detection and risk protection. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in the later pages. So to be able to understand what best practices have to be, we have to understand how hackers are. And again, you are somebody who is very experienced, so I don't really need to get into the details, but we need to understand and even peel the onion and getting back to the most basic stuff. The most basic stuff is infected device getting onto your network. Again, after they get into the network, they will scan the network and move around to find things to hack. And then, of course, like you just mentioned, stolen credentials. So these are the things that we have to keep in mind, and everybody needs to keep in mind, and then we clarify and move forward. I'm not going to go and give you a class on zero trust, but I'm sure you're very familiar with them.
Yeah.
Since we're focusing on databases, let me ask you, put your hat on as an infrastructure guy running the databases, which again, your digital transformation projects will have your agile programmers needing development as well as production access, data access. Your current data projects, your data is now a privileged information by definition, but the world hasn't seen them as a privileged information. You see where the disconnect is today. People still see servers as a PAM. You call it privileged access management. But when it comes to databases, you might have a DAM. You might. But again, even a DAM doesn't have zero trust principles. So again, identity verification, two-factor, least privileges, microsegmentation, continuous monitoring, assume breach, data protection, device security, and automated response are all parts that are not covered in the database. I think in an indirect way, I'm trying to tell you we do that.
Okay.
So look at the features gap, the people's gap, and the process gaps. So ID management and no LDAP controls are all great for servers and all that stuff. Two-factor, I'm sure you guys probably have a two-factor by now. Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
for the account level, yes.
Yeah. Again, not at a data level, right? So this is where this means that all your audit reports cannot even verify who that person is, because you failed the first thing about identity verification, because it could be even shared username password. So again, the other thing you alluded to and I mentioned is using application user ID on a database.
Yes.
So all this stuff, and you and I know that you will have more databases as it comes out. You even have shadow databases, shadow IT databases in departments. Hey, I need to do my email. I'll create a new database, and then and then you just know that you're going to have more databases next year this time than now. It's just explosion of data. That is the business now. In fact, the business has transformed. So let's jump right into the feature gap. The two-factor solution that you bought probably covers VPN and application. It may cover your cloud. I'm not sure. It may cover server level. But if you're using cyber and all the stuff, chances are you don't. You have admitted that database is not covered. And then I don't know whether you do cover your IP, your network IP, your shared drives and routers and so on, any IP address. Microsegmentation, most people have network microsegmentation, but it fails miserably at the data level. Privacy, do you have a privacy solution today? Like data masking? Yeah, so data masking or any, who can view what data?
We are implementing the Microsoft Purview for data classifications and the control, but that's from the Microsoft 365 perspective.
Yeah, that's only their stack. See,
but we are miserably very poor in the application level data management principles. I've been talking to the exec, CTO on this in various projects. So. Yeah, I mean, this is a good time that if I knew all these solutions, then definitely I could able to budget something for the next FY26.
Sure. Just to be quite clear, we do data specifically for non-application. The reason why that is that application should be done properly for role-based access. RBAC in the application should be done, because that's why you have a username ID. But the problem comes with when you use Microsoft SQL Studio, Management Studio, when your DBAs use the direct access, these are the areas that fall flat.
Yeah.
So we extend, we are a proxy solution, but we act as if that we are an application layer from your infrastructure. Okay. So similarly, PAMs, you have a very good OS PAM. You might do web services with your PAM, but databases is where it fails miserably. Process gaps, workflow. Again, your PAM would have a workflow. You use it for servers, but not databases, not row. So what we do is row and column and level, object level, so DML, DDL kind of controls. Again, like I said, we are from the database standpoint. That is why we focus on these things that are being missed by many people. We do real-time auditing. Like I said, we have a mini SIM. We also automate onboarding and offboarding. Remember, I mentioned that because we use Active Directory or Azure, once you delete the user, this user has no access to any of your databases. So because of our alignment with information management and data access. So just think of it like, your AD management, right? You delete the user, they have no more email, no more server access.
Right.
Again, we have threat reports, we have responses. If you choose the right module, we actually disable people in the network to scan your network. And we actually even differentiate. You don't even need to get in the network. Remember, the first thing of what hackers do is get onto your network. I will tell you how we eliminate people from getting on your network. This is where the traditional PAM falls really short, is that these are the 7 things that a PAM needs to do. CyberArk is one of the best, so you will have everything in here. But what people with CyberArk will use us is the database side. And in some cases, CyberArk, as you know, can be quite expensive for some organizations, and they do not offer it for test and development staff. They can use my solution for the PAM and database PAM for the developers. So that is something that for Prabhu, for Kishore to work with you to better understand how your organization uses your PAM today. Again, each organization is slightly different. The reason why people buy DAM is because their PAMs are weak. This is a traditional access method, like probably how you guys allow external people coming in. Please confirm or deny. Basically, you have an endpoint, you go through a corporate VPN, and your device is added into the network. And then you probably run some intrusion detection devices, everything. So would this be a good indication of how you run your organization?
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, anyway, this is true for all the customers I talk to. What we advocate is to first, as you must have heard of reducing attack surface. What we do is asking organizations to look at the people that they have. If they do not require thick client access, just give them web-based access. Our portal has direct server access to Linux and Windows Server and or your cloud, as long as within your network. And we also have database native tools that allow them to through a portal. So for all those people that don't need thick client, they're not on the network. So this reduces your attack surface. Any questions on this?
What if the device registry, everything is done, but then the device is compromised? So how do you?
Well, we two-factor every IP address. So
Okay,
if
IP
a hacker was, so yeah, every IP address. So if a hacker is trying to get onto something you're not doing, so for example, okay, even before that, pre-connection policies and post-connection policies will first have a micro segmentation, which means that if I'm a developer, just for discussion, I only have access to 3 servers, maybe your repository of your code, 2 developer application servers, and maybe 2 databases that your application. So that's micro segmentation based on your role.
Yeah.
And then every IP address that you enter, we will two-factor you. So we assume breach, right? Zero trust, assume breach. We basically used least privileges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, role-based access. So even though a compromised credential will come in, first of all, the device, if it's a compromised credential, the person won't be able to come in. They will go through the web portal, but then a two-factor shouldn't be going to the hacker.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, we do session recording if you require session recording. Again, based on the work that they do, we can do the threat detection, but because they're coming only from a web-based portal, we can monitor the payload. Okay. For the people who need, let's say, Microsoft Management Studio or DBA tools, all that stuff, then we give them network access. This we provide a solution with a ZTNA component in. This one you need a device registry because now the device is actually coming inside your network.
Yes.
Again, all the similar checks and everything, again, two-factor on a TCP IP address, not the whole. Just because you have access to 5 IP addresses doesn't mean that you come in, you get access to 5.
Yeah.
And then we extend this to the database just like the portal does. Does this give you an idea on how, by just doing separation of duties and different access methods come in, we've already reduced your attack surface?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this is what we advocate. Sorry?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
So this minimizes devices in your network. So that's number 1 point in how you should reduce your attack surface. We talked about traditional way of onboarding and offboarding. So you create identity. I don't have to tell you this. This is probably what you do. Everybody else does it the same way. We create the same way, but we make sure that roles are very well defined in your case, Microsoft. And then we automate everything after that, which means that termination, which is and or things like a case where somebody goes on long-term leave. So inactivity. Again, one of my customers in Singapore is a government agency, IRAS. They want to know if somebody hasn't accessed the system for more than 2 months, please suspend, because that becomes a loophole. Maybe he or she is on paternity leave. They could be off for 4 months. Anything inactivity by 30 days, they want to report. Yeah. So all these are automated for very secure organizations. Any questions on how this eliminates the human error part? Because once that person moves from sales to marketing to back office, their active role should change. Their roles in Active Directory should change. Their access should change as well.
Okay.
And if they leave, we also terminate it automatically because they do not have direct IP access to any of the databases and servers because they are going through my proxy. So think of it as us as an application layer to your infrastructure.
Okay.
I think that explains a lot.
So
These
is this
are the report.
this is covered for API key exchanges, everything?
We typically handle people. When it comes to API, we need to understand how you use your API and all that in a lot more detail. But
Okay.
we are taking the human part, which is the weakest part. You spend all your money on endpoint security. You spend all the stuff. We are taking that off the table. When it comes to API, all that stuff, we have ways to get to secure it, but that becomes a little bit more complicated for the discussion today.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Understood.
Yeah. It goes back to ID management for us, right? So, yeah. So again, when we come to reporting and all that stuff, threat reporting, block user, administrative, failed connections, failed database queries. In IRAST, for example, honeypot, they basically they have our VVIP information. It's actually fake data that have it in their database. But if anybody accesses it, they don't want to terminate that. They want to flag it out and monitor it.
Yeah.
Because anybody inside the organization knows our ministers or prime minister's data is not in that table. So again, but so they want to start monitoring. So these are some of the things that we have built for them, and no sharing of service accounts, which again is one of the worst culprits. And again, auditors still pass people because auditors don't understand how this is done. Risks are the ones that people actually can do, but you should be monitoring. So things like out of office, weekends, activities. If anybody in one of our customers, they say anything, you're only allowed to draw down 1,000 rows every time. But if somebody's doing 900 rows all the time and then accumulate over time, they've downloaded 1 million. This is obviously a risk. Data extract, all that stuff. For auditing, remember that customer I told you that has 400 developers and got broken into, and they now use my solution and give it to the auditors. So they save 3 people from full-time job creating auditing reports. My question to you is your auditing reports a painful exercise for you?
Auditing reports, of course, we have several audits as we speak. I'm doing an audit with working along with EY. So
again,
we have a thing we have with IMDA, right? We have to do this every couple of years for the environments, for different environments. So it's like every year we're doing that.
Mine is a real-time system.
Yeah. So
real-time audit, real-time flagging out, real-time event analytics. So as you know, if you find out something 6 months ago, you're a bit late.
Yeah.
It's like it's a bit late, and that's never a comfortable discussion you want to have with your bosses. So what customers now use us is like they actually hand over this to the audit team and say, hey, you just download the reports. It's real time. What do you want to do? Just look at it. Who, when, what, where, down to the database level. Which, again, like I said, privilege access management should include database. So, and then again, so dashboards, server health, and all those are pretty standard. And that comes with my product. So you don't even have to pay for this. It's a standard module that comes with it. So in a nutshell, what we've done is that we created a 2FA solution, a ZTNA solution, a DAM, a PAM, a database PAM, a privacy, approved workflow, and threat detection engine on one Docker drop, one VM drop. This is my solution. Depending your organization needs, you can pick and choose which module you need. But my 2FA, my workflow, and my threat detection is base component. Because we find that people integrating everything just creates too much. The cost of integration usually exceeds the cost of buying all this different software. So, okay. And that means also upgrades. As you know, infrastructure, my IT infrastructure guys always complain to me. Every round of IT upgrades, I gotta start the next round because, you know, you do network, then you do server, then you do database, then you do the whole thing all over again. So all those stuff, basically what we've done is that we try to reduce work and get benefits to our customer as well as stay secure. Yeah, I'll let you read these things. Basically, I'm going to focus more on the data security, is role-based access on micro-segmentation down to the database schema, table, row, column, object level. Record everything so you can actually, I'll show you some of the reports that we have. You can detect specific records being like the honeypot that I talked about, limit the amount of data returned from each database query, whether they have been masked or unmasked or what level we will actually show you, and then data level, approval workflow. Even your DBA should not have access to your full schema because PII being PII, they need a reason. Let's say if they're doing year end, they need to truncate table or roll over for next year, you know, then they need an approval workflow, and it's fully built into our solution. And IT management don't have to agree to it. Your business user say, hey, I know we're doing rollover, the DBA should, because at the end, IT should not be coordinating these things. Yeah. Because then you create another headcount and it's your headcount that's not doing real work, but is doing administration. So all these things, because of our background, we're hoping to help people like you and our customers eliminate some of the work that is not automated. Any questions on this slide? Because this kind of summarizes everything we do.
Okay, you'll be showcasing the product a demo or something like that?
Not today. We can show you some YouTube videos that show it, but basically it's an infrastructure tool with like two-factor, all that stuff, getting it. But I will show you some of the results. Any other questions on this?
No, I don't have any specific question.
Yeah. So basically, we need to break some bad habits. Bad habits has been developed with the old mindset of nobody is in the, in the mode. So in this day and light, you are using hybrid architecture. You have on-prem, you have multiple cloud solutions. At least you have done the IAM for the different clouds. Some of our customers are still struggling with that. We can also help them. For bonus, you mentioned you're under the CCOP CII. This is a mapping of one of the customers, PUB. They use our solution. And basically, we help them with all these areas in the CCOP thing. So in their case, they use my whole solution. So because this is a water plant. Water plant, as you know, is an OT environment. They used to think that there's no internet, and there's no internet, it can be secure. So instead of buying 3, 4, 5 different solutions to meet all this stuff, they use our solution. Again, we have customers that only use our all-in-one solution for specific user group, like developers. Because like I said, one of my customers says, I'm not paying CyberArk money. for development servers. So they picked our PAM solution.
Okay.
Key point in CCOP is database security, and an individual should not have DBA and sysadmin rights. This has to be clearly differentiated. And we provide, and it's very hard to do in a Microsoft environment. And some of the databases that you use is very hard to do. We provide that access. We provide that separation. So again, I don't know whether the auditors have woken up to this yet, but again, this is what CSA is. And so CSA actually has recommended us to a few customers in the CCOP side of the business, and the CII part of the business, sorry.
Okay. So this is CCOP 2.0, right?
Yes. As you know, all the people who fail or ask for extension, right? Every year they will write, hey, we haven't done this yet, we haven't done that yet. So we're helping them get to speed. And they've spoken to the auditors, and the auditors are actually quite surprised. This is who has access to what. One of the audit question, and it takes, I mean, like you said, you have I don't know how many databases you have. So one question is who has access to what database, and that question alone is if you have 50 databases, means that you have to go into 50 databases and look at, and if you don't have proper ID management on databases, it's actually impossible. You need to create a SIM tip, or elastic solution or whatever to all those. Basically, if you use our solution, which this case the customer did, in one we will see, okay, this user ID, and because we use AD user ID, immediately we will see Jason has access to which database across real time.
Yeah.
So this alone could be 1 to 2 months of full-time work, if not more. And because we use ZTNA, we can actually confirm is that person, right? So who access what? My partner Omar has access, 277 rows. From which database? Which schema did he use? Did he looked at customer PII? Transform mean that it was masked. In the case revealed mean it was unmasked.
Okay.
So you will go down to that level, connection details, protocol. Remember I said he used the portal. This is a web SQL. He used it. He got into it. Database. He has no account in the database. We rewrite the SQL based on that role. So when he does a select star from demo Thailand customer PII, we rewrite that to his role. That's where our differentiator, because our database people, right? So we actually look at the role and AD and says, okay, he might select Thailand, select star from customer in Thailand, but maybe he can only look at city equals Bangkok. We will rewrite that SQL, and we will mask all the PII data in this case. This is the kind of layer security that we have given our customers. So this is a very good feature, because my customer got broken into and somebody submits a resignation. They want to see what did the person do in the last 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, whatever months. Without a SIM or without a single ID, there's no way you can actually do this. So we provided this solution and say, hey, what did the person do during this time and that time? Omar looked at using SSH, went into the ELK system, used remote desktop and got into the WinDB, web SQL. He went to the SQL server, which date and which IP, which client IP address did he use. So everything is now provided, and then you can look at mobile app, web app, remote desktop, SSH, WireGuard. a DB proxy. So basically everything, the connection log on everything is collected if you choose to use this. We actually advocate that whether users are outside the network or inside the network, go through us as a proxy.
Okay.
Okay. So this is probably a traditional approach, but let me just jump. You might 2FA coming into the network. Then you got firewall, AD, VPN, DAM, SIM, network threat workflow, your key management solution, your privacy solution, and then you have your endpoints, and you may have Citrix, and devices are all in the network. What we advocate is that you separate all your things. In your case, you probably already have done so. So some of your backups could be on cloud. That's firewall, no internet access. Your database should be in its own cluster network segment, and then all this stuff is now controlled. Device registration, micro-segmentation, everything. Using our database PAM, we have single sign-on, 2FA, credential activity, SQL firewall, monitoring, web-only or native access in all-in-one control. So that is our solution in one. So providing a zero trust access, not just the network access, but also your data access. Okay. So comments?
No, I think it'll be good for me to have you on site with for a workshop. Maybe I would do that so that you can have the similar conversation along with the demo for the extensive team. I can invite AI lead team, and I will invite the application team members along with the head of the IT. So it'll be a good opportunity for you guys to come in and pitch in for this solution. Just on another note, I just want to know the budget for the estimation for the specific solution. How it's been licensed.
We license based on head counts because it's a user protection solution. Okay. So depending on how many heads you have, and then on the module side, we break down into a few major components. Do you require our ZTNA solution? Do you require our PAM or DB PAM? So if you've broken down the kind of users, we will be able to give you an idea on the pricing.
Okay. So, but headcount is one thing, but what about that the service accounts and few other?
We figure the service accounts are not too many. We just throw it in.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, I mean, service accounts usually are a few. And what we do for service account is that we make sure that service account, let's say you have a server network or your application server network that accesses the database, for example, we make sure that that user ID is only whitelisted from this IP address, this server.
Yeah.
So if anybody else uses that username from this outside, will be blocked or even flagged. Our ZTNA also does network. If anybody does a network scan, we will stop your network scan and we will alert it, and that device will be disabled.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So again, all these alerts, all that stuff can be, if one of my customers use it, because if somebody is creating too many database errors, that means they don't know the schema and they're trying to figure out what the schema is. We also block that user. That means that, so not only are they two-factor, even though legitimately if they're doing their work, but they have too many errors, that means there's something suspicious. He better answer to the boss and say, hey, what are you doing? Is it you? First of all, is it you? So again, we assume blocked, right?
Okay.
I mean, assume that breach. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. On that note, I would like to end the presentation, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any
No, I don't have any specific question. Kishore, thank you so much for the opportunity to know about this. We'll definitely go ahead and engage further with